Yesterday's Question is a arc-heavy burst hand cannon from Trials of Osiris, and is definitely a weapon of all time. In PvE, I would not only call it the best PvE arc weapon, but also one of the best energy weapons as a whole. And in PvP, it's probably the best of its archetype, however it can be very hard to use, requiring some pretty decent aim, and therefore can feel really inconsistent at times. Going from being basically unchallenged to basically useless on a fight-to-fight basis. However, I do believe this is partially due to the role I have, lacking any ease of use perks that would generally make it better, and also my sometimes quick, inconsistent aim. So, there's that to take into account. In the third column, it has Air Trigger, Closing Time, 4 times the Charm, Lone Morph, Dragonfly, Rapid Hit, and To the Pain. In the fourth column, it has Desperate Measures, Head Seeker, Eye of the Storm, Moving Target, Vault Shot, Vorpal Weapon, and Zen Moment. In PvE, there's not really many options, with 2, maybe 3 rolls really. However, these are stellar rolls. You have 4 times in Vorpal as an alternative to Warden's Law, which actually works this season, as with the Lucky Punch changes, it's no longer limited to having the same energy weapon as your super, or a kinetic weapon, which came at the cost of a nerf to total damage. However, apparently 2 burst hand cannons didn't actually get affected by it. However, I don't actually have any way to confirm or deny it, so don't take that as gospel, I guess. The main thing though is that this would be a very good GM role for when hand cannons are in the artifact, alongside being a good damage weapon, as you can put triple arc surge on and pair it with the seasonal grenade launcher, which can get bait and switch and envious arsenal, which will reload your gun when dealing damage with 2 other weapons, which you can then pair with Supremacy or Lost Signal or Perfect Paradox, or a pretty simple, but I believe, very high damage rotation with good DPS that should work on most raid bosses in the game, Vespers Host, and longer fights especially. If you want a general use role for this, which is worth it in my opinion, as I basically relied on this thing during Contest Vesper, I would recommend using Rapid Hit and Vault Shot. Rapid Hit will give you a bunch of reload speed incredibly quickly, and the stability is nice for just lazy ad clearing. And Vault Shot is more than good enough for ad clear that you don't even really need Dragonfly. However, that isn't saying Dragonfly would be useful though, and you should definitely keep Dragon and Vaults if you see it. I would also keep Air Trigger if you see it, as the reload boost from just jumping is comparable to Outlaw, and considering it just comes from jumping before reloading, and you gain inner accuracy, which is surprisingly nice in PvE, I would say it's pretty good. And whilst the puck rolls are pretty generic, especially for arc weapon standards, the main thing in my opinion that makes Yesterday's Question better than other arc weapons is Yesterday's ability to deal with mages and higher tier targets on its own, that weapons like Nation or the new Vesper-sized auto rifle can't really do as quickly, nor quickly as enough. Especially in environments like Contest and GMs where they are extra plentiful, especially this season where they've just added Banes, which have more health than normal enemies, despite being usually just prep bar random dudes. So, as Arc's finally starting to get its place within the meta, I'd actually make sure to look out for this thing in PvE especially. However, in PvP, I'd believe it's still good and is a lot of fun. Starting with the third column, Closing Time I believe will be a red herring. While it sounds good, the max size on Yesterday's Question will stop it from working effectively, although I haven't tried it, so if you do get it, it is worth a try after all. Air Trigger is still one of my favourite perks, as it just gives you near perfect accuracy in the air all the time, and it really helps with how bad this hand cannon frame feels in the air, which massively frees up movements, which is incredibly nice on a hand cannon and is probably one of the main things that make it feel so fun to me. Also, the reload speed is nice, especially on hand cannons. Lone Morph I believe would be a good pick, as it gives you Snapshot, an Icarus Grip mod, and a targeting mod, which then doubles when allies are not nearby. Which honestly sounds amazing, especially for this frame, albeit slightly inconsistent as it's reliant on teammates, but still, again, amazing. It would probably be enough to make it much easier to use on its own, allowing you to run Headseeker or Desperate Measures or literally any perk in the fourth column, no matter what it is. Rapid Hit is again nice for the stability mainly, and is really good with this frame. But considering Yesterday's Question already has decent enough stability and other options exist, I probably wouldn't prioritize Rapid Hit, but certainly wouldn't complain, especially with Zen moments, as it would just make yesterday laser like basically every other gun in the game. And then finally, to the pain, is probably the worst perk in the third column, as it's just aim assist and handling from being shot. So I'd rather just go Lone Wolf 9 times out of 10 and have its overall more better bonuses over just the aim assist. In the fourth column, Desperate Measures is unironically the worst, but also probably the most fun one here, as it causes Yesterday to start 2 bursting if you get an ability kill and can hit all heads. But otherwise it just adds a bit of forgiveness and range of kill. Hitseeker is currently bugged as of writing to where it doesn't work on heavy bursts, but will be fixed as of the Revenant Act 2 launch apparently. Unlike bygones becoming a 2 burst from just missing the shot, Yesterday's Question gets the ability to 4-head 1 body or rezo, which is nice with this frame and what I'd say to run with Lone Wolf over Desperate Measures, despite how fun it can be. I have the Storm, Moving Target, and Zen Moments. Then are all your ease of use perks for the fourth column, and are probably what you'd want to use with that trigger mainly, as the fourth column perks just mentioned already fill the role the third column perks provide, so you kinda don't really need them unless you want to just overly stat boost the weapon, which at that point I feel you're kind of just wasting stats for not really any benefit. However, I have the Storm to basically guarantee winning duels, which would massively help with consistency. Moving Target, granting aim assist and strafe speed would be insane with Lone Wolf, literally just giving you max aim assist for free. And Zen will make the recoil easy to control on top of the flinch resist, which would be really good for air trigger since the gun just outright probably won't move. So overall, I think you should honestly just run really any combination of the aforementioned perks since they're all amazing. If there was one I'd have to say was the god roll, it would most likely be Zen and Lone Wolf or Zen and Moving Target, but literally any combination will work well. In the background I'm using an air trigger Desperate Measures roll, and it is working despite being probably the worst viable combination, which is something quite nice about this 2 burst compared to the other ones. As with the other 2 burst hand cannons, it feels like you have to run basically one roll to make them actually usable, which is usually just maxing out stability. However, with this one, you have options. I do still wish, however, and this is a thing with basically all of the heavy burst hand cannons, is that I wish it just had a better model, as it just feels bad to use sometimes, due to a mix of the sight moving, the sight's color, and the arc flash. If we can eventually start getting these with proper sights, which is something I'd also love to see on sidearms, I think it'd be really good for this archetype, and it's something I think would make people use them more, especially on the keyboard and mouse. Even board endings was an improvement on this issue. Having the sight be further up due to the block of cheese on the barrel made it much easier to see and hit people, with the only real hindrance to visibility being the stasis tracer that's sometimes a little difficult to see through. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say about yesterday's question. If you enjoyed, like, comment, sub, the usual stuff, and adios. Before I go though, I have a little update on how we're making 2 videos in this act. The game's not fun. That's basically it. PvP's current sandbox just isn't fun to play in right now, and I think that's felt amongst multiple different people at least. I unsurprisingly quite dislike when I have to play against a pulse rifle with time to kill quicker than sidearms, which is super easy to use and has 35 to 38 meters of range, alongside everything with abilities and prismatic and special. Never thought I'd really be wanting a shotgun nerf in particular, but here I am. I also need to farm a lot of the weapons that I want to actually review and have a bunch of specials, but don't really even know how to review them, so yeah. And I've also been playing Black Ops 6 a bunch, working on the camo and prestige grind, and I was thinking about making videos on that, but don't entirely think that's the best idea. So that's all. I will make videos as I feel like, until I actually want to play the game again. I'll probably just be doing Prison of Elders though. Anyway, yeah, bye.